This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
My name is Chanel Lunkuse. I am the third farmer from Side Affirmative. So today in this debate, I see a lot of confusion. I am kind of confused whether Side Negative actually got the motion and decided to understand it in their own way, or they did not understand what it actually meant. So us saying that we are leaving it to open discussion, that we are discussing upon it as Side Affirmative and saying, should it continuously be there or should it not be there? We are leaving it open, we are making it negotiable. And as Side Affirmative, we are negotiating that it should actually be there, not actually not be there. I do not understand what they're actually saying. They come here and talk about our clash points, limiting fair hearing, they're looking for justice, dictatorship, they bring in a Connie, and I kind of understand that they are actually on Side Affirmative side, because we are voting for the greater good, for the greater number, and we are even wrapping in the Side Negative because they are falling on our side. We come in and tell them that if we have these fair hearings, we get to understand, we get to know that when we have these people being hired out, we get to understand, we get to know that this has been actually there, this is what actually happened, that we get to know the story actually behind it. They are on our side. They are looking for justice. We are both looking for justice in this debate. By the fact that our side is opting for fair hearings, so that we can actually bring you to court and ask you, Josephat, why did you kill the minister of affair? Josephat, why did you do this? For example, there is a case, it was of a woman who was suspected for killing her husband. She was suspected and put to trial, and if there weren't a fair hearing for her, she would actually be sent to jail for nothing, because after the fair trial, she was actually realized that she was innocent. So we are both looking for justice at both sides of the house, and I do believe they're on Side Affirmative. They talk about dictatorship. Dictatorship. How do we have dictatorship on a side that is actually rooting for fair hearing? We cannot have dictatorship on a side where we are actually wanting to listen to the people to find out why. Because I believe that the government is for the people, by the people, for the people. And I believe with this that we are not voting for dictatorship. We are actually coming forward with a government that actually does not dictate, but actually understand what the people deserve and what they need. So we are not doing dictatorship. They talk about the people who fought alongside Connie. By the time you hold the gun and you fight alongside Connie, there is no difference with you than Connie. That is why we bring you to trial, and maybe we'll try to understand, and maybe Connie misled you, but there is no difference between. That's why we bring you to trial, to maybe see that maybe Connie influenced you to some extent, and we maybe the greatest influence you to some extent, and we should punish him for that. But we also have to punish you for your needs. That's why we say it does not bring in injustice. So we go back to our points: fair trials and protecting the rights of citizens to find out other criminals. Fair trials. They actually agree with us and say that they actually support the fair trials. Us talking about the fair trials, bringing them here, is actually helping us, because in this sense, we're actually catering for the greater good, for the greater number. Greater good for the greater number is when we actually hear out the criminals and bring them to court and ask them, yes, you committed this crime. Who influenced you? What was behind it? Are you inside? For example, Jeffrey Dahmer, the world's number one serial killer, the devil himself walking on the earth. If Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't given a fair trial and just punished for what he had done, he would not understand that he had a borderline disorder. We would not understand. We will not understand what was actually wrong with Jeffrey Dahmer. We will not actually give these people, we won't open their eyes to find out that he needed psychiatrical help, not to be sent to a prison cell. We understand that when we open these chances, we are actually listening and protecting these people's lives, because we protect the right for them to be understood, right for them to be heard out, the right for them to be, because we're the government, for the people. And then we come our points of finding out the criminals. We find out other criminals because when we bring someone to try, for example, the people who try to kill the honorables. For example, I'm Joseph Atinbwai. I do not have any money to find out where this honorable is going to be at this time and where he's going to be. But because there is someone behind me, and maybe I've been proved guilty, and we bring Joseph to trial, we shall actually find out who is the real mastermind behind the picture. Because without the real mastermind behind the picture, we'll not be able to arrest my case.
Good afternoon to you all. I would like to begin by saying that I don't understand the farmers of what they are talking about, because they really misunderstood the motion. It's not going to become a song of the day, but I want the farmers to know that the motion states that the motion means that the right to fair hearing is already there in the judicial arm of government. But now they want to negotiate about it. Why do you want to negotiate about the right to fair hearing? What the farmers have failed to understand is that the right to fair hearing the right to fair hearing for capital offense suspects is already there in the judicial arm of government, and it is already proved by the Constitution of Uganda, as the first farmer told us about the Article 28. Article 28, which says that in the determination of civil rights and obligations or any criminal charge, a person shall be entitled to a fair, speedy, and public hearing before an independent and impartial court or tribunal established by law. It is clearly stated in the Constitution of Uganda, so that the person who is suspected to have committed a crime must go to the court and talk about himself to prove him guilty or innocent. She also talked about the Article 42. Any person appearing before any administrative official or body has a right to be treated justly and fairly and shall have a right to apply to a court of law in respect of any administrative decision taken against him or her. All these laws in the Constitution are already clear, as stated by the first farmer. So, the first farmer stated very well the capital offenses like murder, robbery, rape, terrorism, treason. They are talking about negotiation in the motion. They are not telling us whom they are going to negotiate with, and what are they negotiating about. They fail to understand that. The right to fire. She talked about my second speaker talked about dictatorship, which the third speaker failed to understand. If the dictatorship we are talking about, if there is no right to fair hearing, and some people are just being taken to prison or being just given punishments without being listened to, meaning that there is the dictatorship in the country because one of the arms of government does not have justice. The judicial arm of government does not have justice. That one causes dictatorship. So I would like to elaborate about the point. I like to elaborate about my colleagues' points. We came out as a body of human rights activists. So some points I want to elaborate about. Since some people have not been given the ability to listen to, some families are left uncontented about the crime, hence bringing about revenge, which increases crime rates. This increases crime rates in the country because the families and the people of those people who are proved to be guilty, those people who are taken as suspects, they are just imprisoned. What you are meaning about negotiation, that if it is a case of murder, it depends. You are talking about murder, but maybe someone has just been accused of murder. You have not yet investigated about the case, and you're just taking someone for punishment or imprisonment. That's what you're talking about. Okay, I beg to rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.